Can you hear me now? Oh, okay. All right. We are so happy to be here tonight. One more night of blessings and understanding of more absorbing of what we already know, right, about the spirituality. And we just want to say a quick prayer. Should we start with a prayer? Let's all close our eyes and focus on our breathing and try to remember that we know and we have access to so much information and to all the information that we need. And it is such a blessing and so pleasurable to be here tonight and to be together and have this opportunity to unite with all of you guys. And we are so grateful that this house gives us this opportunity, not only to come here to learn and absorb and access all this knowledge that we already have, but also to feel and to make our time's worth of being in the presence of all this spirituality and this beautiful people and this beautiful souls that are here gathering to enjoy the presence, the divinity, the divine that we believe that abides within each one of us, and the unity of all of us with the same intent to grow, to share love, to share light. And that's why we are here. And we are so grateful again. And so we be blessed and be able to really take advantage of this environment, of this healing environment, and immerse ourselves in this learning opportunity as well. And so be it.
So be it.
And Cara is going to be with us tonight, developing equanimity. Wow, this is deep. Can't wait to hear.
Thank you, Roberta.
Thank you, Cara.
Is this on? Can you all hear me? Yeah, should be. Okay. Yay. So welcome, everyone. We have been doing shorter lectures on Wednesdays. They have the music, right? So we don't want to talk for an hour, and we don't start till this time. So we'll still end at the normal time. Our lectures are a little bit shorter. So developing equanimity. Anybody know what this word means, equanimity? Okay. Okay. The first thing we're gonna do is talk about the definition. But anybody who's heard this word, have you heard this word before? Equanimity. Okay, you've heard the word, but not sure quite what it means. Okay. Okay.
Something about us.
Yes, something about us. That's right. So what is it? So the dictionary says that equanimity is to be calm in the face of difficulty. So that's a pretty straightforward definition. But in Buddhism, there's a very different definition. And I actually first heard the second definition here. Cynthia Cava gave a talk where she mentioned this last year when both her and Patricia came back from a Vipassana retreat. And equanimity, I think, was the subject of their retreat. And so this definition really stuck with me. It means the non-reactive observation of feelings while remembering their impermanence. The non-reactive observation of feelings while remembering their impermanence. What does that mean? So we're always having feelings, right? We're always feeling things. But what do? I feel hungry, I'm gonna eat. I feel angry, I'm gonna yell. I feel annoyed, I'm going to say bad things to myself. I feel offended, I'm going to yell at you. I feel, right? We have a feeling and then we react. There isn't really any spaciousness between the feeling and the reaction, right? There isn't even very much an observation of the feelings. We just feel, react, feel, react, feel, react. And that's okay, no judgment. I mean, I do it, you do it, we do it. That's why this is something to be sought by an entire spiritual tradition. But the part of this that's deep is remembering their impermanence. I mean, there's not one feeling I've ever had that's permanent. Not one. Who can tell me one thing you've ever felt that you have felt always and it never ended? Let me hear that. Nothing. It's all impermanent. But when we react, from our feelings, we react as if we're going to feel this way forever. So we're going to do something often that has what? Repercussions for a long time. So I thought, well, this is interesting. I want to learn more about this. So as always, when I share anything with you all, it's because I want to learn more about it. So I did some research to share with you what I'm learning. It's something I practice. And like anything you practice, it has had results for me consistent with my practice. When I practice inconsistently, I get inconsistent results. When I practice some of the time, I get results some of the time. When I practice consistently, I get consistent results. So like anything, right? Your output equals your input. So I decided to dig a little bit deeper in this. But what's interesting is, so in Buddhism, I don't know if many of you know this, but I'm an interfaith minister. I went to a 2-year seminary where I studied the world's traditions. That's what interfaith is. It's the understanding of the main world's traditions. And one of the things we learned was what are the similarities between all of the world's traditions. And so we took a deep dive into the 6 of the major world traditions. And so in Buddhism, what was so interesting is that, there's some constructs within Buddhism. One of them is the 4 abodes of divinity. Like, what are 4 things you want to develop in order to develop your divine self? And so they are loving kindness or metta. Metta is the Pali word, right, for loving kindness. And for those of you that come to the meditation on Tuesdays, bless you, my love. When I lead the meditation, I lead it on metta, loving kindness meditation. The second one is compassionate love. The third one is empathy. And the fourth is equanimity. So it's literally 1/4 of what any Buddhist strives to develop on their path to divinity. And it really also means, the Pali word upekkha really means to stand in the middle of all of this. Because think about it, at any given moment, you're not just feeling one thing. We're usually feeling a lot of things simultaneously. We're in this swirl of emotion. We feel this, that, and the other, and sometimes we're feeling so many things, we don't know how to identify them, and then we go to professionals to help us understand what it is we're feeling, how to sort it out. And if we don't go to professionals to help us, we end up causing a lot of wreckage in our lives and in wreckage in the lives of others. Because we haven't figured out how to stand in the middle of all this in a way that helps us be in right relation to what we're feeling and then make choices that produce our overall well-being. So why do we need it? In the Buddhist tradition, the 4 Brahmas are to build divinity to be strong in the face of what they call these 8 worldly winds, which are pretty much the center of the things that we have feelings about. All the feelings that we have in general are centered somewhere in praise and blame, success and failure, pleasure and pain, fame and disrepute. Think of everything you felt today. It fell into one of those categories. If you felt something today that did not fall within praise, blame, success, failure, pleasure, pain, fame, or disrepute, please tell us what that was. I would love to hear what does not fall into that category. Those are the main categories. So to be someone who's practicing equanimity is in this whole windstorm. In general, we're feeling all those things, most of those things, often at the same time. Right? We're being praised, so we feel like we're a success, and that makes us feel pleasure. And we hope that's going to build our reputation, right? Or the opposite, right? We're being blamed, so we feel like a failure, and that makes us have pain. And then we worry about, right? We go through this swirl of these winds. And so how can we build equanimity, right? What do y'all think? How can we be calm in the eye of the storm? How can we have non-reactive observation of these feelings while remembering that they are impermanent? Because praise and blame, success and failure, pleasure and pain, and fame and disrepute are all temporary. None of them last. But we make life decisions, we destroy relationships, we burn bridges, we do all sorts of madness because we act like they're permanent. Or worse yet, we want them to be permanent, right? So how can we build? What do y'all think? Anyone have ideas? How can we do this?
Pray.
Pray. 100%. Love that. What else? Meditate. I think both of those are baseline. What else? Anyone else have thoughts about how we can do this? All right, well, let's deep dive into some of the research. Praying and meditate 100%, but we have to get here first. My good friend, Dr. Stephanie Hawkins, said this, and I never forgot it. Success is a calm nervous system. You know, when we're feeling pain or pleasure, success or failure, pain or, disrepute, fame, all of these things, you know what's usually happening? We're like in some sort of a fight or flight. Our nervous system is overactive. There's a part of the brain called the amygdala, and it gets hijacked, and we think that we are not safe. Now, this doesn't happen with pleasure. It doesn't happen with fame. It doesn't happen with praise. It happens on the other side of it, right? It happens with pain. It happens with blame. It happens on the other side of it. So the body goes to this massive, this massive nervous system hijack where if you check the research, your heart rate goes up, your breathing gets faster, your body's flooded with cortisol so that you can sprint away from a beast who's attacking you, or you can, or worse, or kill the wild beast. That's why our bodies were built this way, is for survival during times of, before we had the technology that we have now. But with technology advancing, we don't need to run away from wild animals anymore. And we don't have to, or kill them to eat, right? Unless that's something you're choosing to do for sport. We don't have to do that, but our bodies and our nervous systems haven't caught up to technology, so we still have this. And if we don't do something to calm our nervous system, like run away from the animal or kill it, or do lift the car off the baby, whatever it is, if we don't engage in some superhuman physical effort to discharge that flood of cortisol and adrenaline, those chemicals stay in our body and toxify us. And you know what else happens? You cannot think clearly. One of the symptoms of the amygdala hijack or the fight or flight response is your nervous system goes completely haywire and it's only focused on physical safety. So your executive function, your capacity to think clearly is diminished. So how can you go into non-reactive observation of feelings while remembering their impermanence? That requires the executive function. You need to have a calm, clear mind to even make the distinction of whether you're reacting or not. So we got to start there. So anybody know how to get here? How to calm your nervous system? So I know you know, Roberta. So you only answer if nobody else does. How do you calm your nervous system? Who knows?
Breathing.
That's it. That's it. Research shows 2 or 3 slow, deep breaths will trick your body into thinking you're safe without having to kill a tiger or run away from it. 2 or 3 slow, deep breaths. So the next time you feel pain, shame, blame, that your reputation is suffering, anytime you feel anything doesn't feel good to you, start to instantly turn to your breath. Just start to breathe. That will take care of 90% of getting us to where we can actually make a decision, because we cannot make a decision from fight or flight. The only decisions, it's a third decision: fight, flight, or freeze. Those are the only 3 options you have in that point. If without you breathe, that's the only options. And most of us, because we don't fight and there's no way to go, we freeze. And if we're frozen, guess what we're not doing? Anything to develop equanimity, much less anything that can help us. So there's multiple ways to practice this, but here's one methodology, right? You have the feeling. First thing we got to do, breathe. And once we breathe, we can notice, oh, I'm feeling pain, shame, blame, pleasure, whatever, that's like start naming the feelings. And then reflect without judging. Like, oh, okay, I'm feeling this. And you all have been hearing Luigi say this for weeks. Question everything you feel. Question everything. I've heard him say it instead, how many times, right? Like it's been a broken record. Question everything. Part of the reflecting without judging is questioning. Why do I feel this? I wonder why I feel this. I wonder when the last time I felt this was. I wonder when I first felt this. I wonder why I'm reacting like this. I wonder, just observe. And I wonder how long I'm going to feel this, because we know it's impermanent, right? So this is where we can reflect without judging. And then go back to focusing on our breath, and then guess what we've done? We've made it through without ever reacting, because the reflection without judging is the biggest part. But what we do is we reflect and we judge. I feel like this because she shouldn't have done that. Or I'm like this because they did that. Or I'm like this because they didn't do this. You know what we do, right? We have these feelings and then we assign the blame to somebody else, right? So this is what we do. And there are many images like this if you Google building equanimity. This is just one. There's tons of them out there. But almost all have starting and ending with your breath, noticing what you're feeling. When I gave the talk a few weeks ago about examining your beliefs, one of the tools to examine your beliefs is from Dr. Byron Katie, The Work, which is you feel something and then you start to ask yourself questions, right? Is this true? Can I be 100% sure this is true? How do I feel and how would I act? How do I have to be when I believe this is true? Is it possible that the opposite is true? Like, these are great reflection questions without judging any of the answers. But we don't do this because we jump straight from thought, feeling, react, thought, feeling, react, thought, feeling, react. And we've perfected it that we do it so quickly that our subconscious runs the show. We don't even have our conscious mind engaged. We just feel, react, feel, react, feel, react. And there's an opportunity for us because the benefit of equanimity is for us to be able to be in the face of all of the swirl of emotions that are choices to us, that are reaction opportunities to all that the world delivers us. And when we take the time to choose, we become closer to our own divinity. Our ability to choose is the one thing no one can take from us. But as long as we are feeling, reacting, feeling, reacting, feeling, reacting, our capacity to develop ourselves is non-existent. And every single one of you is here tonight not to feel bad. I don't think anybody came here to be stuck. I don't think anybody, I mean, if you did, I mean, if I'm saying it wrong, tell me, but nobody came here tonight in, bad weather. We didn't come here to not grow, right? So we have different reasons to want to grow, but we all, I think, have a desire to come to a Spiritist center to grow spiritually, right? I think that all of us have that in common. I would like to think that's what binds us together. That's the common bond that we all have in this community. And so to do that, we actually have to notice what we're doing so that we know what we need to work on, right? And equanimity is a path for us to get there. So there's some additional practices that we can engage in. And so, anyone here ever heard of Thich Nhat Hanh? If you've heard of Thich Nhat Hanh, raise your hand. 1, 2. Okay, so 2. So Thich Nhat Hanh, a Zen Buddhist monk who made his transition a couple of years ago, but is kind of considered one of the fathers of kind of modern mindfulness, if you will. He was a Vietnamese monk that has a monastery in France because during the Vietnam War, he was exiled from Vietnam. And so he has many, many books, many, many poems, but he has a book about tools for mindfulness. And there are 7 mantras in this book about mindfulness. And these mantras are designed to help one during meditation to achieve a state of being in the present moment. And so the first one, it says calm smiling, but the practice as you're meditating is breathing in, I calm myself. Breathing out, I smile. Breathing in, I calm myself. Breathing out, I smile. And then once you have that, as you're breathing, you breathe in, calm, smiling. Calm, smiling. And he makes it very clear that it's not a big, huge grin, it's a smile like the Buddha. If you look at any statues of the Buddha, there's always this slight little smile there. It's that kind of smile, a very gentle, soft smile. So think about the next time the phone rings, and it's someone that you're annoyed with, and you see their name on the caller ID. What do? Right? Feeling, reaction. I'm not going to answer that. I don't want to talk to that person. Or maybe it's a bill collector. Or maybe it's, right? We have a feeling, reaction. Feeling, react, feeling, react. What if the phone rings and we say, breathing in, I calm myself. Breathing out, I smile. Breathing in, I calm myself. Breathing out, I smile. What if, while we're driving, and the person who drives in front of us, instead of slamming the horn and letting out some words you wouldn't want any of your children or your family or friends to hear, breathing in, I calm myself. Breathing out, I smile. Calm, smiling, calm, smiling. It's a practice option. The second one, mountain solid. Breathing in, I'm like a mountain. Breathing out, solid. Breathing in, I'm like a mountain. Breathing out, solid. Remember all those winds we talked about? You know, when there's winds, is a mountain really affected? I mean, the surface of the mountain, the trees might blow away. I mean, think about it. If there's a hurricane, a tornado, a tsunami, is the mountain really affected? I mean, there might be some surface changes. Maybe some trees might blow over. Maybe there'll even be a landslide. But the mountain is unaffected. Right? That's the breathing in, I'm like a mountain. Breathing out, I'm solid. So when all those winds of life's vicissitudes are blowing, we have the opportunity to be like a mountain and solid. And the last one is one of my favorites, water reflecting. Breathing in, I'm like water. Breathing out, reflecting. Seems simple on the surface, but the intention underneath it is if the mind we have inside is like water, and the water's rough and choppy, does it accurately reflect what's happening? Does it accurately reflect reality? If the water that's being reflected, that's reflecting this mountain, if that water was rough, if it was windy day and the water had a lot of white caps, would you see a beautiful reflection like that? No, it'd be distorted, right? So when our mind is calm like water, then we can see things the way that they are. It gives us a chance to have the non-reactive observation of sensation and feelings while remembering their impermanence. We can do that when we're calm and smiling, when we're solid like a mountain, when the mind is calm like water, accurately reflecting things the way they are. So we can do this, right? How can we reflect without judging if the water's so rough, we don't even have there's nothing to reflect, all we see is white caps, right? That's the benefit of this practice. So for those of you that are interested in this, there's a book, I think it's the seven Tips for Mindfulness, I think. I'll have to find the name of the book and put it in the group. But also there's some beautiful meditations that Thich Nhat Hanh has that are guided on YouTube that take you on a very beautiful trip down this road of calm and smiling, mountain solid, water reflecting. There's 7. So I think it's breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, I'm like a flower. Breathing out, I'm fresh. Flower fresh. Calm smiling, mountain solid. There's another one in there, I can't remember. But these are the 3 that I love the most. So these are ways to practice equanimity. So some supports. The idea here is to build qualities of mind and being that can help us on our path to equanimity. The first one is integrity. And so why integrity? Because if we think about those 8 wins, praise, blame, pain, pleasure, fame, disrepute, those don't harm us if we have confidence in our integrity. If we know that we are doing the right thing, we don't really worry about being blamed for something. If you know you're doing the right thing, if you have integrity in your life, you don't really worry about people attacking your reputation. It's when we don't have integrity that we worry, right? So actually building our integrity can help us a lot. Calm nervous system, we already talked about that. Well-being, super important. It's hard to be calm, smiling, mountain solid if you're not getting enough sleep. If you've had 7 chocolate bars for the day, right? It's hard if you're not getting enough sun. Whew. So this is a hard one for most of us because we think, oh, understanding wisdom, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I got it. Well, this is also like not taking things personally. It's understanding that people and their behavior are not the same thing, right? We can separate people from their behavior. And when we separate people from their behavior, then we can not take it personal. We say, oh, that person did that. It's not that they're a bad person. That person just did that, whatever they did. Or that person did not do that. Because 90% of our upsets is because of what someone did or what someone didn't do, right? That's what we get upset about. Either you did or you did not do something that we expected you to do, and now I'm in my feelings. But when we understand that what people do or fail to do is not who they are as people, it's nothing to do with that. And really, at the end of the day, like the book in the 4 Agreements, I think one of the 4 agreements is don't take things personally, because it's not about you. People are going through their stuff, right? This is also a big one. Insight. This is actually such a big one that there's a whole spiritual tradition just around insight meditation. This is so deep. And insight doesn't just mean I have, we think about, oh yeah, I have an insight about that. Like, oh, I have a light bulb, I have an idea. That's not what we're talking about here. Insight in this context is looking deeply into the nature of things. I'm going to say that again. This insight means looking deeply into the nature of things. So this could look like this. You're drinking a cup of tea, and you realize you're drinking clouds. Are you really drinking clouds? Stay with me. So the tea is made of tea leaves. The tea leaves were grown in the ground. So when you're drinking tea, you're also drinking tea leaves, and you're also drinking some of the ground. You're drinking some earth because the tea leaf has the elements of the earth in it. And then as it was growing in the earth, it got sunshine, it got rain. So when you drink tea, you're also drinking some sunshine, you're drinking some rain because it has elements of sunshine and rain in it. And the rain came from the clouds, so you are also drinking clouds. This is looking deeply into the nature of things, how all things are interconnected. It's looking deeply into this law of oneness that states that all of us we're not being, we're interbeing. We are, right? There's an interconnectedness with all of us. We are all here for a united purpose, in that we all had an appointment to be here and we chose to be here. In that alone, bless you. In that alone, there's something that's connecting us all. But those who study and look deeply into the nature of things see that, especially students of Spiritism who study fluids, there's the universal fluid, right? That is everywhere around us. And the law of physics has shown us that our bodies are not solid, that when we look at the smallest particles of our physical body under a microscope, it has more moving particles and space between those particles than there is solid matter, which means regardless of this illusion, we are more energy than we are solid. And you know what the spaces between all of those moving parts are? Universal fluid. So we're all swimming in the same soup of universal fluid. There's actual science that shows our oneness. So this insight, when we realize that, then it makes all these other things easier. This is one of the most important ones. And what happens then is it gives us freedom. Because when we have all of these things and we take the time to do what equanimity offers us, which is the non-reactive observation of feelings while remembering their impermanence. Non-reactive. Freedom comes when we don't have to react. Freedom comes when we can choose how we react and get out of that cycle of feel, react, feel, react, feel, react, feel, react. It's a hamster wheel, and there's no way off without equanimity or some other method of not reacting, because that hamster wheel is the only permanent thing. All the feelings that have us on it are impermanent. That hamster wheel will keep spinning until we decide to get off. So we're just about done here. There's some affirmations I wanted to share with you that we can practice to begin to train our minds to have a non-reactive observation of feelings while remembering their impermanence. I am responsible for my own actions. I am responsible for my own actions, right? Gracie's not responsible for my reactions. Rose is not responsible for my actions. I am responsible for my actions. I can't say Gracie made me so mad, Rosie made me feel so good. No, I am responsible for my own actions. I am responsible for the energy and attention I give my thoughts, feelings, and experiences, right? Roberta is not responsible for the energy I give my feelings. Vic is not responsible for the energy I give my feelings. I mean, I can blame y'all all I want to, But at the end of the day, I'm responsible for the energy and attention I give my thoughts, feelings, and experiences, because I am responsible for choosing to react or to have a non-reactive observation of my thoughts, feelings, and experiences while remembering their impermanence, or I can jump on the hamster wheel, right? If I want to jump off the hamster wheel and choose the non-reactive observation of thoughts and feelings while remembering their impermanence, I then can find peace exactly where I am. And I don't need to rely, right, on Marcelo. I don't need to rely on anybody else for that. I can do that myself. So the choice is ours. This is a short excerpt from the Dhammapada, one of the sacred texts. It's a beautiful excerpt. And if you imagine that a sage is an awakened being, and we always have a choice whether we're a sage or not. As a solid mass of rock is not stirred by the wind, so a sage is not moved by praise and blame. As a deep lake is clear and undisturbed, so a sage becomes clear upon hearing the Dharma, which is just the truth, any sacred truth. Touched by happiness and then by suffering, the sage shows no signs of being elated or depressed. It's up to us if we want to choose a path of equanimity or the hamster wheel that endlessly spins between thought, reaction, thought, reaction, thought, reaction, thought, reaction. Or we could choose non-reactive observation of thoughts and feelings while remembering their impermanence. So that is what we have for you. Thank you so much. And if you learned anything, please share it with others. Can you lead the prayer for the class? So we have some announcements that Roberta will do, and